You know what they say about trust. It's like a house of cards built during an earthquake. I'm Eliot Grady, and I used to think my marriage was solid as concrete. Turns out concrete cracks when the foundation shifts, and mine had been shifting for months without me noticing. I work IT consulting for small businesses around Portland, Maine. Not glamorous, but it pays the bills and keeps me sharp with technology. My wife Vanessa works marketing for a mid-size firm downtown, all glass offices and motivational posters. She makes twice what I do and never lets me forget it. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday. I came home early from a client call to find Vanessa in our kitchen with Kevin Yates, my supposed best friend since college. They weren't doing anything obvious, just standing too close, her hand on his arm, both jumping when I walked in. "Hey, honey," Vanessa said, that bright fake smile she uses with difficult clients. Kevin stopped by to discuss the Morrison project. Kevin works at Vanessa's company now, sales manager, all teeth and charm. Yeah, man, just boring work stuff. You know how it is. I knew how it was, all right. The way she smoothed her hair, how he couldn't meet my eyes, the lingering smell of cologne that wasn't mine. But I'm not the type to explode. I'm the type who watches, waits, and plans. "No problem," I said, grabbing a water from the fridge. "Don't mind me." After Kevin left, Vanessa was all over me with affection. Guilty conscience makes people weird. She suggested we skip our usual Wednesday game night at Murphy's board game cafe downtown. Said she was tired, wanted to stay in, maybe order Chinese. That's when I knew for sure something was wrong. Vanessa never missed game night. She loved being the center of attention, showing off her strategic thinking, making sure everyone knew how clever she was. "Actually, I think we should go," I said. "Haven't seen the gang in a while." Her face flickered with something. Annoyance? Fear? "I really think we should stay home, Eliot. Spend some quality time together." Quality time? Right. While she texted Kevin under the table. That night, after she fell asleep, I did what any reasonable husband would do. I checked her phone. Password was our anniversary date. Not very creative for someone cheating. The messages were all there. Months of them. Not just flirting, but planning. Meeting times, hotel rooms, complaints about me. Before we deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. One message made my stomach turn. "Can't wait until we don't have to sneak around anymore. Eliot's so clueless, it's almost sad." Kevin's response: "Soon, babe. Once we figure out the house situation, we're home free." The house situation. Our house that I'd been fixing up for 3 years with my own hands. The house where we'd planned to start a family. They were planning to take it from me. I screenshotted everything, backed it up to 3 different cloud services, and went to bed next to my lying wife. She rolled over in her sleep, murmuring Kevin's name. Wednesday came. Vanessa tried again to cancel game night, claiming a headache. I insisted we go, said it would help her relax. She agreed reluctantly, probably figuring she could text Kevin from the bathroom. Murphy's was packed as usual, our regular table in the back corner under the vintage board game posters. The usual crowd: Brittany Walsh, Vanessa's best friend and social media influencer who documented every moment of her life, Jake Morrison from my old job, Lisa Chen, who worked at the library, Tommy Rodriguez, who managed the cafe, and a few rotating others. We started with Settlers of Catan, Vanessa's favorite because she was ruthlessly good at resource management and negotiation. She was in her element, charming everyone, making deals, building her empire. I waited until she was winning, until she was relaxed and confident, surrounded by friends hanging on her every word. Then I pulled out my phone. "Hey, everyone," I said, loud enough to cut through the chatter. "Want to hear something interesting?" The table went quiet. Vanessa looked at me with warning in her eyes. I hit play on the audio recording I'd made from her phone messages. Kevin's voice filled the space. "God, I can't wait to get rid of him. Think he suspects anything?" Vanessa's laugh, clear as crystal. "Eliot, please. He's too busy playing with his computers to notice anything. By Christmas, we'll have the house and he'll be living in some sad apartment, wondering what happened." The silence that followed was deafening. Everyone stared at Vanessa, who'd gone pale as paper. Brittany's phone was out, probably recording for her Instagram story. This was the kind of drama she lived for. "Eliot," Vanessa started, but I held up my hand. "There's more," I said, scrolling through the screenshots I'd prepared. Hotel receipts, restaurant bills, plans to refinance our house without telling me. 3 months of planning my removal from my own life. Kevin appeared at our table like magic. He'd been texting him from the bathroom earlier. His face was red, his usual confidence nowhere to be found. "This is taken out of context," he said, but his voice cracked. "We were just what?" Jake asked. He'd known me for years, seen me work on that house every weekend. "Just planning to screw over your best friend?" Vanessa tried to flip the script. She was good at that, turning victim into villain. "You went through my private messages," she said, tears starting. "That's a violation of my privacy. This is exactly why we need space, Eliot. You're controlling, paranoid." "Paranoid?" I laughed, and it wasn't a nice sound. "Lady, you've been planning to steal my house with my best friend. That's not paranoia. That's pattern recognition." Brittany was definitely recording now. Her followers were going to eat this up. Lisa looked uncomfortable. Tommy was pretending to clean glasses while obviously listening. The whole cafe was watching our table. Kevin tried to take charge. "Look, man, emotions are running high. Why don't we take this somewhere private?" "Why?" I asked, standing up. "So you can gaslight me in private instead of public?" "I don't think so." I gathered my things, looked around the table at people I'd considered friends. Some looked sympathetic, others uncomfortable, a few excited by the drama. Vanessa was crying now, but they were angry tears, not sad ones. "This isn't over," she said quietly. I smiled, and I could feel how cold it was. "You're absolutely right. It's not." Walking out of Murphy's that night, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Complete clarity. The marriage was over, had been over for months without my knowledge. But I wasn't going to roll over and let them take everything I'd worked for. If Vanessa and Kevin wanted to play games, I'd show them what a real game looked like. The next morning, Vanessa was gone. Left a note on the kitchen counter saying she was staying with Brittany, needed space to think, would call when she was ready to talk like adults. Like adults. That was rich, coming from someone who'd been sneaking around like a teenager. I called in sick to work and spent the day doing research. Amazing what you can learn about someone when you put your mind to it. Kevin's credit report, his lease agreement, his gym membership, his social media accounts that he thought were private. Vanessa's new apartment lease, signed 2 weeks ago with Kevin as co-signer. They'd been planning this for a while. My friend Frankie stopped by around noon. We'd worked together at a security firm before I went freelance. Ex-cop, knew how to handle problems quietly. "Heard about last night," he said, settling into my kitchen chair with coffee. "Murphy's is talking about nothing else." "Good," I said. "Let them talk." Frankie studied my face. "You're planning something?" "I'm planning everything." He nodded slowly. "Legal everything, I hope." "Completely legal. Morally questionable, but legal." That afternoon, I drove to Vanessa's new apartment. Nice complex, much nicer than our neighborhood. Must be expensive. I wondered who was paying for it, since she'd been siphoning money from our joint accounts to fund her new life. I didn't go up to her unit. Instead, I sat in the parking lot and called our mortgage company, our insurance agent, our joint credit card companies. Turns out, when you're married, you can make a lot of changes without your spouse's signature, especially when you're the primary account holder and you have documentation of attempted fraud. By evening, Vanessa's access to our joint accounts was suspended pending investigation. Our mortgage was locked against any changes without both signatures. Our credit cards were canceled and new ones issued to my address only. She called at 8 p.m., furious. "What did you do?" she screamed into the phone. "My card was declined at dinner. I can't access our savings account." "Our accounts," I corrected, "and I protected them from unauthorized access. You know, the kind you've been doing for months." "You can't just freeze me out of my own money." "Watch me. Every dollar you took, every hotel room, every romantic dinner with Kevin, I have records. You want to play hardball? Let's play." She hung up on me. 5 minutes later, Kevin called. "This is between you and Vanessa," he said, trying to sound reasonable. "Don't drag me into it." "You dragged yourself into it when you decided to help my wife steal my house," I said. "But don't worry, Kevin. I haven't forgotten about you." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means the game's just getting started." I hung up and got to work. Kevin's car was parked at Vanessa's complex, a shiny black BMW he was so proud of. Amazing how easily car paint scratches when you drag a key across it. Not that I would do such a thing, but someone did sometime that night. Someone with artistic talent who managed to scratch "cheater" across both sides in elegant script. The next morning, I got a call from Mrs. Kitteridge, my 70-year-old neighbor who knew everyone's business. "Eliot, dear," she said, "I saw the most interesting thing last night. Someone was messing with that fancy car in the Riverside Apartments parking lot. Terrible shame. Such a nice vehicle." "Really?" I said. "Did you see who did it?" "Oh, no, dear. But I did get some lovely photos of the artwork. Quite creative, really. Would you like me to send them to you? Mrs. Kitteridge had been a photographer before retirement. Her pictures were always crystal clear. That would be very kind of you, I said. Within an hour, those photos were posted anonymously to every local Facebook group, the community bulletin board at Kevin's gym, and somehow found their way to his work email. Amazing how technology works these days. Kevin called me at lunch, breathing hard. I know it was you, he said. What was me? My car, you piece of... Careful, Kevin, that sounds like an accusation. Do you have proof? Silence. Didn't think so, but hey, look on the bright side. Now everyone knows what you are, truth in advertising. That evening, Vanessa showed up at my door. She looked tired, stressed, not the polished professional she usually presented to the world. We need to talk, she said. I'm listening. Not here, somewhere private. I laughed. Privacy? That's funny, coming from someone who's been discussing our private business with her lover for months. But sure, let's go somewhere private. We drove to Riverside Park, the same place where she and Kevin had met for their secret rendezvous. I knew because I'd been tracking her location through our shared family plan. Technology is wonderful when you know how to use it. We sat on a bench overlooking the Presumpscot River. Nice evening. Almost romantic if you ignored the circumstances. This has to stop, she said. The accounts, Kevin's car, the public humiliation. We can work this out like civilized people. Civilized people don't plan to steal their husband's house with his best friend, I said. Civilized people ask for a divorce instead of trying to manipulate their way into ownership of everything. I never tried to steal anything. The house is as much mine as yours. Really? Because I have the mortgage documents, the repair receipts, the improvement costs. All in my name, all paid with my money, all done with my labor. You contributed exactly nothing except complaints about the noise. She was quiet for a moment, watching the water. Then she tried a different approach. I know you're hurt, she said, her voice softer. I handled this wrong, but we can fix it. We can go to counseling, work through our problems. Our problems? Vanessa, you've been planning to leave me for months. You've stolen money, lied to our friends, and plotted with my best friend to take everything I've worked for. Those aren't problems, they're crimes. I haven't committed any crimes. Fraud, identity theft, conspiracy. Should I continue? Her mask slipped then, showing the real Vanessa underneath, cold, calculating, angry. You think you're so smart, she said. But you're just a small-town loser who got lucky marrying up. Without me, you're nothing. Kevin and I, we're going places. We have ambition, connections, plans. Had, I corrected. Past tense. Because after tonight, Kevin's going to have some new problems to deal with. What are you talking about? I stood up, brushing off my jeans. You'll see. Give it about an hour. I left her sitting there and drove home. At exactly 9 p.m., I called Kevin's gym. Amazing how much information people will share when you claim to be from the health department investigating a complaint. Yes, this is regarding Kevin Yates, membership number 4471. We've received reports of inappropriate behavior in the locker room. Could you check his locker for any unusual items? They found the bag of rotten shrimp I'd planted that afternoon. Amazing how easy it is to slip into a gym during busy hours when you're wearing workout clothes and acting like you belong. Kevin's membership was revoked immediately. The smell would linger for weeks. By 10 p.m., anonymous tips had been sent to Kevin's supervisor about his relationship with a subordinate, Vanessa, and the potential conflicts of interest. HR departments take that sort of thing very seriously these days. At 11 p.m., Kevin's landlord received a noise complaint about loud music and parties. Funny thing about apartment leases, they usually have clauses about disturbing other tenants. I went to bed that night with a clear conscience. Tomorrow would bring new opportunities to demonstrate the difference between playing games and playing for keeps. Thursday morning brought 3 angry voicemails from Kevin, 2 from Vanessa, and 1 very interesting call from Brittany. Eliot, she said, sounding breathless with excitement. We need to talk, like immediately. We met at a coffee shop downtown, away from our usual haunts. Brittany looked like she hadn't slept, but her eyes were bright with the kind of energy she got when she smelled a good story. First, she said, sliding into the booth across from me, I want you to know I had no idea what Vanessa was doing. If I had known, I would have told you. Would you have? She paused, considering. Okay, maybe not immediately, but eventually. Probably. At least she was honest. Second, she continued, you need to see this. She pulled out her phone and showed me her Instagram story from the night before. The video from game night had been edited into a perfect little drama package, complete with captions and reaction shots from the other players. It had been viewed over 10,000 times and shared across multiple platforms. "It's going viral," she said. "Local viral, but still, everyone's talking about it." "And you're loving every minute of it?" "I mean, it is good content," she admitted. "But that's not why I wanted to see you. Vanessa asked me to help her with something, and I think you should know about it." She showed me a series of text messages. Vanessa wanted Brittany to post on social media about my controlling behavior and emotional abuse. She'd written out specific posts, crafted to make me look like the villain in our story. "She wants me to say you've been tracking her, going through her private things, trying to isolate her from her friends," Brittany said, "which, to be fair, you kind of have been doing. To be fair, she's been stealing from me and planning to take my house. True, but the internet doesn't care about nuance. They see husband tracks wife's phone, and they pick sides fast." I studied the messages. Vanessa was good at this. I had to give her credit. She knew how to craft a narrative, how to position herself as the victim. In her version, I was the obsessive, controlling husband who couldn't let go. "What are you going to do?" I asked. Brittany smiled, and it wasn't entirely pleasant. "Well, that depends. See, Vanessa thinks she can use me to rehabilitate her image, but she forgot something important." "What's that?" "I'm not her employee. I'm her friend, or I was, until I found out she's been lying to me for months too." She showed me another set of messages, these between Vanessa and Kevin. They were talking about Brittany, making fun of her desperate need for attention and her pathetic little blog. They'd been laughing about how easy she was to manipulate. "She called me her useful idiot," Brittany said, and for the first time since I'd known her, she looked genuinely hurt. "Said I'd post anything if it got me views." "I'm sorry," I said, and meant it. "Don't be sorry. Get even. I have an idea." Her idea was brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of posting Vanessa's prepared statements, Brittany would tell the real story. She had screenshots of everything: the hotel receipts I'd found, the messages about stealing the house, the plans to leave me with nothing. More importantly, she had video from game night that she hadn't posted yet, including Vanessa's reaction when the truth came out. "I can make her look like the villain she actually is," Brittany said, "but I want something in return." "What?" "Exclusive access. I want to document this whole thing from your perspective. The wronged husband's revenge story. It'll be huge." I thought about it. Having Brittany on my side would be useful, but it also meant living under a microscope. Everything I did would potentially become content. "Deal," I said, "but I approve anything before it goes public." "Deal." We shook hands, and I felt like I'd just made a pact with a very attractive devil. That afternoon, Brittany's first post went live. A carefully edited video showing the game night revelation, complete with subtitles for the audio recording and reaction shots from our friends. The caption read, "When you find out your bestie has been lying to everyone for months. The tea is scalding. Full story in my bio." Within 2 hours, it had been shared 300 times. The comments were brutal. Vanessa went from local marketing executive to internet villain in the span of an afternoon. She called me at 5 p.m. screaming, "Tell your little puppet to take that down right now." "Brittany's not my puppet," I said calmly. "She's just telling the truth. I thought you liked transparency in relationships." "This is harassment. This is consequences. There's a difference." Kevin called an hour later, more subdued. "Look, man, this is getting out of hand. People are showing up at my work, asking about the video. My boss wants to see me first thing tomorrow." "Sounds rough," I said. "We need to call a truce. Work this out before it gets worse." "It's going to get a lot worse, Kevin. This is just the beginning." "What do you want? Money? I can pay you back for whatever Vanessa took." "I don't want your money. I want you to understand what it feels like to have your life turned upside down by people you trusted." "I get it, okay? We screwed up. But enough is enough." "Enough is when I say it's enough." That evening, I met Frankie at a bar outside town. We needed to plan the next phase, and I wanted to be somewhere Vanessa and Kevin couldn't find us. "You're playing with fire," Frankie warned. "This social media thing, it can backfire fast." "I know. But right now, public opinion is on my side. I need to use that while I can." "What's the end game here? You want them broke, unemployed, run out of town?" I considered the question. What did I want? Originally, I just wanted my wife to be faithful and my friend to be trustworthy. But that ship had sailed. "I want them to understand that actions have consequences," I said finally. "I want everyone to know what they really are. And I want to make sure they can never do this to anyone else." Frankie nodded slowly. All right? But we do this smart. No more amateur hour pranks. If we're going to destroy them, we do it right. What did you have in mind? He smiled, and I remembered why criminals used to be afraid of him when he was on the force. Let me make some calls. Friday morning brought news that Kevin had been suspended pending an internal investigation at his company. Apparently, HR took a dim view of senior employees who engaged in relationships with subordinates without disclosure, especially when those relationships involved potential financial impropriety. I knew this because Mrs. Kitteridge's nephew worked in their building and had overheard the conversation. Amazing how information travels in a small city when you know the right people. Vanessa called at lunch, her voice tight with controlled fury. Kevin lost his job because of your little stunt, she said. Kevin lost his job because he broke company policy, I corrected. I just made sure the right people knew about it. You're destroying innocent people's lives. Innocent? That's hilarious. Kevin helped you plan to steal my house. Vanessa, there's nothing innocent about either of you. We never tried to steal anything. The house is marital property. Was marital property. Past tense. See, while you were busy planning your new life, I was protecting my assets. Funny thing about property law, when you can prove fraud and abandonment, things get complicated fast. Silence on the other end. What are you talking about? Check your email. I sent you some interesting documents. The divorce papers had been filed that morning, along with a restraining order based on the financial fraud and a civil suit for recovery of stolen funds. My lawyer, recommended by Frankie, was very thorough. You can't do this, she said, but her voice had lost its edge. Already did. You have 30 days to respond. I'd suggest getting a good lawyer, but that requires money, and most of yours is currently frozen pending investigation. She hung up on me again. That afternoon, Brittany posted part 2 of her series. The plot thickens, financial fraud, and betrayal. She'd done her research, showing the timeline of withdrawals from our joint accounts, the hotel receipts, the apartment lease signed in secret. The comments were even more brutal than before, but the real masterpiece came that evening. Frankie had been busy. His contacts in various industries had been very helpful in spreading the word about Kevin and Vanessa's character. Kevin's gym membership wasn't the only thing he'd lost. His car insurance had been canceled due to risk assessment changes. His credit card company had flagged his account for suspicious activity. His landlord had received multiple noise complaints from concerned neighbors. None of it was illegal. All of it was devastatingly effective. Vanessa's situation was even worse. Her company had placed her on administrative leave pending their own investigation. Apparently, using company resources to conduct personal business, like planning affairs and financial fraud, was against their ethics policy. But the coup de grace came from an unexpected source. Tommy Rodriguez, who managed Murphy's board game cafe, called me that evening. Eliot, you need to see something, he said. Can you come down here? I found him in his office, laptop open, looking grim. One of my regulars sent me this, he said, turning the screen toward me. It was a video, clearly shot on a phone, showing Vanessa and Kevin at Murphy's 3 weeks ago. They were at a corner table, thinking they were being discreet, but the audio was clear enough. They were discussing their plans, laughing about how clueless I was, making jokes about my pathetic attempts to fix up our house. Who shot this? I asked. Lisa Chen. She was there with her book club, recognized them, thought something seemed off. She didn't know what to do with it until she saw Brittany's posts. The video was damning. Not just because it showed them together, but because of what they said. Kevin called me a loser who got lucky. Vanessa said I was holding her back from her real potential. They talked about the house like it was already theirs, discussed which rooms they'd renovate first. Lisa wants to know if you want her to post it, Tommy said. I thought about it. The video would be the final nail in their coffin, proof that this wasn't a recent mistake, but a calculated long-term betrayal. It would also show our entire social circle exactly what Vanessa and Kevin really thought of them, because they'd made jokes about other people too. Tell Lisa I appreciate her thinking of me, I said, but she should do whatever feels right to her. The video went live on Facebook at 9 p.m. By midnight, it had been shared over 1,000 times. The comments section was a wasteland of former friends expressing their disgust, and strangers offering their opinions on cheaters and liars. Kevin called at 1 a.m., drunk and desperate. Please, he slurred, make it stop. I can't get another job with this following me around. My family won't talk to me. I had to move back in with my parents. That's rough, I said. I'm sorry, okay? We're both sorry. We made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to put gas in the car. This was a choice. Multiple choices, made over months, designed to ruin my life. What do you want me to do? I can't change what happened. I want you to understand what it feels like to lose everything because of someone else's choices. I want you to know what betrayal tastes like. And I want you to remember this feeling the next time you think about stabbing a friend in the back. Are you ever going to forgive us? I considered the question. A month ago, I might have said yes. I might have talked about healing and moving forward and learning from mistakes, but that was before I understood what they really thought of me, before I saw how carefully they'd planned my destruction. Ask me in a year, I said. If you're both still alive and not in prison, maybe we can discuss it. Prison? Did I mention the FBI is interested in your little financial schemes? Turns out wire fraud is a federal crime. Sweet dreams, Kevin. I hung up and went to bed, sleeping better than I had in months. Saturday morning brought unexpected visitors. Vanessa and Kevin showed up at my door together, looking like they'd been through a war. Kevin's eye was bruised. Apparently someone at his parents' neighborhood had recognized him from the videos. Vanessa looked thin, stressed, aged by the events of the past week. "We need to talk," Vanessa said. "All of us, together." "I'm listening." "Not here," Kevin said, glancing nervously at Mrs. Kitteridge's window. "Somewhere private." I suggested the old warehouse district by the river. There was an abandoned building there that had been for sale for years, part of the city's failed revitalization project. Private, isolated, perfect for the kind of conversation they seemed to want. We met there at sunset. The building was a relic from the city's industrial past, all brick and broken windows and shadows that seemed to move in the fading light. I arrived first, with Frankie as backup, though he stayed hidden in his car. Vanessa and Kevin showed up together in her Honda. Kevin's BMW was apparently still in the shop, dealing with the aftermath of its artistic enhancement. "Dramatic location," Vanessa said, looking around the empty space. "Very you." "I thought it was appropriate," I said. "This place used to make things. Now it's just a shell, abandoned when something better came along. Seemed fitting." Kevin tried to take charge of the conversation. "Look, Eliot, we all made mistakes here, but this has gone far enough. We're willing to make a deal." "What kind of deal?" "We'll give you an uncontested divorce," Vanessa said. "You keep the house, I'll take my personal belongings and nothing else. We'll both publicly apologize for what we did." "In exchange for?" "You call off your dogs," Kevin said. "Tell your friend Brittany to stop posting about us. Get the videos taken down. Let us try to rebuild our lives." I walked to one of the broken windows, looking out at the river. The sun was setting, painting everything orange and red. Beautiful evening for the end of a marriage. "You know what's funny?" I said, not turning around. "A week ago, I might have taken that deal. I just wanted my life back, wanted to understand why my wife stopped loving me." "Eliot," Vanessa started. But then I heard that recording from Murphy's, the one where you called me a pathetic loser, where Kevin said I was lucky to have married above my station, where you both laughed about how easy it would be to take everything I'd worked for. I turned to face them. They both looked smaller somehow, diminished by the shadows and their circumstances. That's when I realized this was never about love, or growing apart, or irreconcilable differences. This was about greed. You saw what I'd built and decided you wanted it. You saw my trust and decided to exploit it. You saw my friendship and decided to weaponize it. "We never meant for it to happen this way," Vanessa said, tears starting. "It just evolved." Evolved. That's a nice word for premeditated fraud. Kevin stepped forward, trying to look threatening despite his circumstances. "You can't keep this up forever. Eventually, people will get tired of the drama. They'll move on to the next story." "You're probably right," I agreed. "But here's the thing. I don't need forever. I just need long enough." "Long enough for what?" I smiled, and I could feel how cold it was. "Long enough for everyone in this city to know exactly who you are. Long enough for your names to be synonymous with betrayal and fraud. Long enough for you to understand that actions have consequences." Vanessa tried a different approach. "I know you hate me right now, but we were married for 5 years. That has to count for something." "It does count," I said. "It counts as 5 years of lies I was too trusting to see. 5 years of you planning your exit strategy while I planned our future." "So what happens now?" Kevin asked. "You just destroy us? Completely?" "I don't have to destroy you," I said. "You did that yourselves. I'm just making sure everyone knows about it." That's when Brittany stepped out of the shadows. She'd been recording everything, hidden behind a pile of old machinery. Her phone was up, camera rolling, capturing every word. "Surprise," she said cheerfully. "Hope you don't mind, but this was too good not to document." Vanessa's face went white. "You can't post that. We didn't consent to being recorded." "Actually, Maine is a one-party consent state," Brittany said, "and Eliot invited me. So legally I'm fine. Morally, Well, you two aren't really in a position to lecture anyone about morality. Kevin lunged toward Brittany, trying to grab her phone. That was a mistake. Frankie appeared from nowhere, moving with the fluid grace of someone who'd spent 20 years dealing with violent criminals. Kevin found himself face down on the dusty floor, Frankie's knee in his back. Now, that was assault, Frankie said conversationally. On camera, no less. Eliot, should I call this in? Let him up, I said. Kevin's learned his lesson about trying to take things that don't belong to him. Frankie released him, and Kevin scrambled to his feet, breathing hard. This is insane, Vanessa said. You're all insane. It's a divorce, not a war crime. You're right, I said. It's not a war crime. It's just fraud, theft, conspiracy, and betrayal. Much more common, unfortunately. What do you want? She asked, and for the first time I heard real defeat in her voice. I want you to understand what you did, I said. Not just to me, but to everyone who trusted you. I want you to know that your choices have consequences, and I want you to remember this feeling the next time you think about lying to someone who loves you. And then? And then, you live with it. You find new jobs, new friends, new places to live. You build new lives on the foundation of who you really are, not who you pretended to be. Maybe you'll be better people. Maybe you'll do this to someone else. But either way, you'll do it honestly. The warehouse fell silent except for the sound of wind through broken windows. Vanessa and Kevin stood there, looking lost and small in the gathering darkness. The divorce papers are real, I said finally. Sign them, take your personal belongings, and disappear from my life. Do that, and I'll consider our business finished. And the videos? The social media posts? That's not up to me. Brittany's an independent contractor. But I imagine she'll move on to other stories eventually. Assuming you don't give her any new material, Vanessa nodded slowly. Okay, we'll sign the papers. Good. You have until Monday. They left together, walking to her car like mourners leaving a funeral, which in a way they were. The funeral of their old lives, their reputations, their plans. Brittany was already editing the video on her phone. This is going to be huge, she said. The confrontation, the confession, Kevin trying to grab my phone, it's perfect. Just remember our deal, I said. I approve everything before it goes public. Of course. Partners, right? I watched Vanessa's taillights disappear into the night, carrying my wife and former best friend toward whatever came next for them. I felt empty, drained, but also strangely satisfied. You okay? Frankie asked. Yee, I said. I think I am. We walked back to our cars, leaving the warehouse to its shadows and memories. Behind us, the city lights reflected off the river, beautiful and cold and indifferent to human drama. The game was over. I'd won, but victory tasted different than I'd expected. Not sweet, exactly. More like justice, with a bitter aftertaste of everything I'd lost along the way. But that was okay. I'd learned something valuable about myself in the past week. I was stronger than I'd thought, smarter than they'd given me credit for, and capable of playing hardball when the situation demanded it. Vanessa had been wrong about one thing. I wasn't a pathetic loser who'd gotten lucky. I was a man who'd built a life worth stealing, and when someone tried to take it, I'd fought back with everything I had. That was a lesson worth learning, even if it cost me a marriage and a friendship. As I drove home through the quiet streets, I couldn't help but smile. Tomorrow, I'd start rebuilding. New life, new friends, new possibilities. But tonight, I'd won the only game that mattered. The game of showing the world who I really was.